It's truly remarkable how this hobby operates. And it's truly crazy how on the drop of a dime, the entire rhetoric, narrative, and perception has changed with Scarlet Violet Era and the buying patterns of investors in Scarlet Violet Era product. And what I'm talking about is there's two main events that have changed this. One being the performance of Twilight Masquerade, and two being the announcements of the release of Surging Spark and the hype surrounding it. And so we are going to break down exactly what's happening and why it's happening today. I'll give you my opinions on what I see coming, and you guys can let me know in the comments, and you guys can take action based on what you believe. But I'm just going to tell you what's happening, and you guys can make your own decisions. So before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and shout out today's video sponsor. It is Arizona TCG. They're a consignment service for your PSA, BGS, and CGC slabs. If you're looking to sell any of those, they run them all through their 100% positive feedback, 10K items sold, over 2,000 follower eBay store, meaning you're getting all the eyes of eBay and getting top dollar for your items. They have very transparent fees. It's only 13.5%. Anything under $100, it's an extra $5 shipping fee, which is basically what it's going to cost you, if not better, doing all the work yourself on eBay. So if that's something you're looking to take advantage of for your slabs, Arizona TCG's link will be in the description and the comment section below. Okay, so first up, it's kind of been widely accepted across the investing space, you know, all the online forums and groups and discords, that you don't buy new product out of the gate to invest, right? You sit on the sidelines, you wait for a year, year and a half, 2 years, you wait for reprints to come, reprints come out, it drops the price way down, and you're able to get it at the lows, and then, you know, it goes up faster because it's near the end of its tournament legal, or, you know, it's at the end of its rotation life cycle. And this has worked very well for investors, and so it got very accepted, and everyone kind of got on board with it. The issue is, Pokemon has not been reprinting sets, right? And so things are starting to change. The winds are changing in the hobby, right? We are now, you know, in the second half, the later half of Scarlet Violet Era. We've seen nothing but maybe a small Scarlet Violet base reprint very early, and we've seen some product kind of trickle in from 151. Other than that, there's been no major reprints. They're just not reprinting the products, especially the booster boxes, which has started to cause price appreciation on things like Paldea Evolved, 151, and Twilight Masquerade very early, which we'll get to in a second. But because of this, people are starting to rethink this whole method, the whole, you know, dead money, where if you buy early, you're going to be sitting a long time before you see price rises, and, you know, because that's how it always was. But the only thing that's certain is change, right? And things are changing. Now, there's a lot of reasoning you could talk about why this is happening. My personal opinion, I think Pokemon's a very smart company. I think they understand the macroeconomic challenges happening in you know, worldwide economies right now, and understand spending power is lower for a lot of buyers, and so they're cutting supplies, right? They are not printing as much as they were, they're not reprinting as much, and they're making their product more scarce. Therefore, they're keeping the collectability and the prices higher, and the demand higher, because, you know, it's lower supply, more demand, right? And so I think they're doing a very good job of that. Now you have people that are, you know, upset because they want to be able to buy booster boxes at $80, $90. They're upset that they're paying $120, $130. You know, it's the constant struggle in this hobby between the game piece army and, you know, the investors and collectors that want to have valuable collectibles. But that's a story for another day. But so we're seeing changes in the way Pokemon's printing and how much they're printing, right? And at the same time, we had Twilight Masquerade come out. Now, as you guys know, Scarlet Violet Era has not been the most well-received, right? It's been very, you know, kind of hated and fought against ever since SV base was released, right? Even Paldea at the beginning, guys, Paldea was not loved. It was not, you see it, you know, going for 140, 150 a box now. It wasn't like that in the beginning, right? It was around last year's Christmas and Black Friday, it was like 80, 85 a box you could pick it up for, because no one wanted Scarlet Violet. They were all sticking with Sword and Shield, sticking with the Altars. They didn't like the silver borders, didn't like all the new Pokemon, didn't like the hit rates or the pull rates of the SIRs and blah, blah, blah. And so what's happening now, though, we saw Twilight Masquerade come out, immediately jump up 30, 40%, depending on when you bought in at. And so people are already realizing gains from that. There's people already selling their cases and making, you know, whatever, after fees, shipping, 20, 30%. And people are starting to rethink things now. They're saying, wait a second, this set was hated. Twilight Masquerade was not received by anyone when it was released. No one wanted to buy it. All of a sudden, it's got one hit in it. It's got a little less supply because, again, Pokemon's, you know, smart about how much they're supplying. And people are seeing the scarcity. and they are jumping on it. And because of that, it's setting the prices sky high. Now, we haven't seen any reprints yet, like I said. So the possibility of a Twilight Masquerade reprint before all of the other sets is very low, meaning there's a possibility this box continues to rise in the 140s, 150s, 160s, 170s, and so on before we maybe see a reprint. And because of this, it's starting to have people rethink their buying patterns going forward, with Stellar Crown, with Surging Spark being the main one. And what we're already seeing is a swell of anticipation and love with Surging Spark already. And I told you this was going to happen. There was going to be a set, I just made a video about this. There was going to be a set that came out that was universally accepted, which is, it seems that way. Every video I've seen about it, everyone's talking about Surging Spark. They're all excited for it. It's going to be universally accepted, universally agreed upon. This is going to be one of the best sets in the era, and it's going to come out of the gate so hot. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, obviously, we don't know how large the print run's going to be, but we already having stores. I know Pokemart USA. If you guys know Eli, he's got his wholesale program where you can pay a monthly fee and buy at his distribution cost from his 4 distributors. He's already said, listen, Surging Spark's going to be huge. We know Team Rocket set's going to be huge. We don't know how much we're going to get, right? So if we get allocated, it's going to be based, just like distributors do it, on your spend on these sets that not as many people want. So he said, listen, for Surging Spark, the allocation I'm going to give you is going to be based on how much Stellar Crown you order. And I'm going to do it at a 1.25 ratio, meaning if you order 10 cases, you'll be able to get 1.25% of, or a ratio of Surging Spark, and so on and so on. And so I think other stores are going to probably do the same thing. They're probably going to service their larger customers, and the distributors are going to service their larger accounts like they always do with their allocations, because the people that support and buy the lesser products are going to get treated to the better products that everybody wants. And, you know, you can say this is fair or unfair, whatever it may be, but if this becomes a thing and, you know, stores get allocated from distributors and they have to allocate their customers, this is 100% going to cause a surge of demand. It's going to cause scarcity. And because of that, I think we'll see even a crazier uprise on Surging Spark than we saw in Twilight Masquerade. It will not be uncommon to see $130, $140, $150 boxes month, 2 months, 3 months after release. Just going to tell you. If it's truly as strong a set as everyone is anticipating, and the hits are that good, and there's that many, and they're that hard to hit because the pull rates are hard, and there's a huge set, you're going to see these boxes opened at mass. It's going to be harder and harder for streamers to get their hands on them because they're going to be opening so much of them. The demand's going to be so high. And because of that, it's going to just change the entire behavior of the investing community. Meaning, the investing community is going to say, wow, I should probably pick up a lot of these at release, right? Even if reprints come down the road, or I believe they're going to come, I can probably flip these in a short-term investment 3-6 months down the road and make a pretty sizable gain, which is going to cause even more supply to leave the market because you're going to have a lot more people buying at release than normally do. A lot of those investors normally sit on the sidelines, they're going to be buying at release now. And so I do see some pretty crazy turbulent times coming up with these newer Surging Spark and Team Rocket sets. Demand's going to be sky high. Investors are going to change their buying patterns because they want a piece of the pie with this, you know, immediate price rises like we've seen in Twilight Masquerade. And if Pokemon continues this low print runs and no reprints, there's not going to be enough to go around for everybody. And when there's not enough to go around, prices go up. And so, guys, we've literally seen the entire hobby turn on its head with the performance of Twilight Masquerade being 130, 140 a box out of the gate in a couple months. And the announcement, not even the release, the announcement of Surging Spark and how good of a set it could be. And that's all it takes. This is what I'm telling you. This is why it's so hard to predict these hobbies. It just takes those two events to completely change everyone's beliefs. And, you know, if they should buy at release or wait at release, and how much they're buying, and, you know, how they're allocating their funds and their buying patterns. And it's truly amazing to see, right? It's amazing to see how the hobby can like do a 180 based on just a few events, right? And it's gonna be fun to see it play out. Now, for the end of this, my opinion, what I'm doing, you know what I'm doing. I immediately, when I heard that with Eli, I upped the order I had for Stellar Crown. I upped it more cases because I want to be able to get as many cases as possible of Surging Spark when it comes out, and I will be getting that. And then I'm going to continue to order more of each set because then Team Rocket will come, the Evolution set that's coming. I want to continue to up just like just like stores do with their distributors, I'm going to do the same in these groups I'm in because I want to get highest allocation I get from them. And, you know, it's just going to be, I am going to continue to pour money into Scarlet Violet Era. It's not a secret. I've been saying this for a year now. I'm very bullish on Scarlet and Violet. I continue to allocate more funds than I ever have. My positions in Scarlet and Violet are much more than they were in Sword and Shield. I love Sword and Shield. I think Sword and Shield will continue to perform well in the future. I'm not trying to like jump ship on Sword and Shield. I think it's still great. It's probably one of the best eras ever. But Scarlet and Violet Era, because it was so hated on and because people didn't see the potential, I think there's actually a lot more potential in Scarlet and Violet, especially at these lower prices, because people didn't see the opportunity the way they saw with Sword and Shield. When everyone sees the opportunity, it's harder to, you know, see those long-term gains happen faster. But when no one sees it, you can see huge price rises all at once because everyone's trying to jump on the bandwagon at once. That's why it's important to be first to market and kind of think differently than the crowd and try to get ahead of the crowd in these markets. And so, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all this, you know, Pokemon comes out and they massively print Surging Spark and they, you know, do a massive reprint right afterwards and they crush the market and it's $90 box even though it's a great set. And then they come out and crush freaking Twilight Masquerade with a reprint right afterwards. It's possible. It's possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Pokemon's smart enough that they want to keep their prices a little higher. They want to keep their cards collectible, and they want to have some value to their collectibles. And especially with how, you know, the economy's going and, you know, jobs are getting harder to find, consumer spending power is going down. You have the election in the U.S., so Pokemon U.S. is obviously watching that. And so there's a lot of things they're probably, you know, kind of watching before they just like shove print runs down people's throats and have a bunch of products sitting at their warehouses and distributors' warehouses that no one's buying. So I think they're being very cautious, and I think it's smart. And, you know, there's no telling what's going to happen a year, 2 years from now. Maybe we do see massive reprints and all, you know, anyone holding this long term does, you know, get crushed down and, you know, it's that dead money type thing. But, you know, if you play it right, there's short term gains to be made. There's long term gains, depending on how you're going to, you know, approach the hobby. But, I just want to do this video because it is truly, things are changing, the tides are shifting. And so, continue to watch Twilight. Be ready for Surging Spark, be ready for Stellar Crown. All of this is going to be a change from what we've seen in earlier Scarlet Violet Era. So be ready. Alright guys, that's all I got. Subscribe to the channel if you're not yet. Be back here in a new video soon. I'm out.